And we're taking apart some data tools that are now coming up and presenting. They are presenting 5 minutes each. We're starting off with key data with Jason, and then they have 5 minutes to present their technology and what they're about. And then we have a fantastic panel, the Dragons, who will rip them apart with 7 minutes Q&A. So please join me in welcoming Mike Harrington from Carolina Retreats, CJ Stam, Southern Comfort Cabins, and Travis Wilburn. And the first one up on the hot seat is Jason from Key Data. Good luck.
Thank you. No math this time, I promise. Well, first we got to get there we are. All right, when it comes to property managers, our mission is very direct and very simple. We want to make great data accessible to you guys to help you thrive, and that's it. We want to help CEOs make it easier to see what their company's doing. We want to make it easier for marketing directors to know where their guests are coming from and when they're booking so they can target market. We want to make it easier for property managers to communicate with their owners like we talked about this morning in an authentic way with real data. We want to make it easier for business development people to know how much a property will produce in terms of rental income. And most importantly, we want to make it easier for revenue managers to do pricing. Oh, we got a delay, sorry. Where am I pointing this one? Yeah, it worked once.
You get negative points for that.
Yeah. Slide number 2. So we're talking this morning here after lunch about being the source for comparative data for the vacation rental market. And we think this is a critical task. We've been talking about it for years and years, and Amy's been championing it, thank God. And we think it takes 3 things to be the source for comparative data in our space. 1, we think it takes an incredible team, and I'm very proud of the team we got together. We've got data scientists, we've got property managers that are part of the team, obviously come from the property manager background. We've got an IT team who deeply understands this space and has been building software for it for 10 years, and the team's fully committed. Secondly, it takes critical mass. We don't believe as a company that there's really room for 2 or 3 or 4 people to get to critical mass. We think if we want to have great data, somebody's got to go out there and get it all. So as much as we hate it being a race, we feel like somebody's got to win the race to have great data, and we feel like we're the company to do that. And third and last, we think it takes accuracy you can trust. You can't have guesses when it comes to this data that drives your business. You have to have reliable data that you can count on. So, simple formula for data-driven decision-making, which runs every company in America that's run well, right? Take great data, it leads to actionable insights, and it leads you to great results. The problem is it's been extremely hard to get great data in our space, right? It's been too hard to pull. You heard my speech this morning. We couldn't calculate RevPAR. It wasn't worth the time. There was no real competitive data sets, so we did the best we could. But we think the answer, and what we believe, is great data is the foundation for everything we're doing when it comes to our space now, revenue and pricing. And once you get it, you realize you can't live without it. A lot of you know we're involved with the Sonder Project, a great organization I'm happy to be a part of. We went to West Africa, and when we got there, we went to build schools, but when we got there, we realized that we were early on the school idea. The kids were sick. They were drinking dirty water from the stream. And so we stopped building the school, and we started digging wells. And we realized that was the beginning, that was the foundation of everything that it took to make that village successful. And we realized that great data is not water like it is for those guys in the village, but in our space, great data is the beginning of everything, and if you start with bad data, you end up with bad results. So when you find it, you embrace it, and you use it like Cliff talked about this morning. So, I'm sorry, got a tough clicker. So 3 questions to ask yourself. Do you have great data available to you? If you're in a leisure market in the US, you do. Come see me, we've got it. Second, do you have the internal skills? When we were going through the math this morning, were you like, yeah, I got it? Or were you like, I'm gonna need to call Cliff to come over here and help me out, right? And third, can you take a shortcut? Ralph was talking this morning about jumping in the back seat, letting somebody else drive. Got some great products out there. The question is it right for you? So when you think about automation, you guys have heard the expression data in, data out, garbage in, garbage out. If you put data into an algorithm, you got to start with great data if you want great results, right? You're only going to get out what you put in. We think that there's an application for algorithms in a place where you can get great data. It works great for hotels where you have homogeneous properties, and companies like Price Labs are out there doing great things with an algorithm and applying it to Airbnbs and units that look very similar. As a company, we believe that algorithms aren't necessarily there for the kind of complex properties that a lot of us manage. We think it's important to know if it applies to you. Nobody, in our opinion, knows your properties better than you do, and we think that's a big part of what makes you a professional manager. So, if you got units that look all alike and you're an Airbnb type of unit owner in Nashville, stay out for type of stuff, it's easy. Plug it into an algorithm, put some supply and demand, know when the concerts are coming to town, and the algorithm will likely kick out a good result for you. But if your units look like, sorry guys, tough clicker. If your units look like this, they may look identical from an algorithm perspective. Both 4 bedrooms, both on the same corner, both look similar to me, both sleep the same amount of people. What the algorithm can't see is that these units look deeply different on the inside. Everybody has a different perspective of what great interior design looks like. So know when it applies.
Sweet, that was fast. So Jason, one of the greatest tools I use within my company is a thing called Culture Index. When I'm hiring people, it lets me know their natural DNA, it lets me know their strengths and their weaknesses. Most importantly, I let them know my strengths as well as my weaknesses. What would you say that Key Data's greatest weakness is currently?
I think that just the challenge of getting there, the task that we've got in front of us, which is to go out and get enough data to have critical mass for everyone and to be able to pull it off. It's a laudable goal, but I think we're well on our way. But I mean, the challenge is getting there, right? I think we've made tremendous progress, but from day one, the question was, could we get to the top of the mountain? And we're getting closer every day, but that'll remain our challenge until we ultimately get there.
How are you getting the data? Like, what systems are you connected to, and then how are you taking that data and aggregating it yourself?
Yeah,
so that we can use it.
Yeah. Our data right now comes from a single source. We go in and we integrate with pretty much every property management system out in the space, and we pull the system data directly from your PMS. We was talking about source data. I forget what Cliff called it this morning, but it's the base true data out of your system. It flows through the API to your PMS, and then it flows directly to us. There's no massaging of it. There's a couple of data analysts that help us make sure that the data is coming through cleanly, but it's pure, clean, crisp data right out of your system. So what you see is what's in your underlying system.
Jason, you mentioned critical mass right at the beginning, and that's always something that I have a hard time wrestling with. So do you guys have sort of a number in a certain area or market that means critical mass, right? So if you're looking at 2 companies, in Destin or whatever, I mean, that's not probably very good to compare. So do you have that sort of a goal in each market? So.
Yeah, so it obviously differs by market. We have some safety nets in place like Smith Travel does, to borrow a page from them. We won't turn on benchmarking until we have at least 4 competitors in the space, and we won't turn on benchmarking if anybody's data set represents more than 70% of the data. So we don't want anybody reverse engineering it. Right. But critical mass for us means you've got a representative sample and a significant enough sample to where you can trust that data is reflective of what's in the market. So it has to do with being spread out enough geographically and having a number count that's sufficient as well, and then having things like high-end properties and low properties. A sample that you can trust that is representative is how we see it.
So with ADR, for instance, when I'm looking in the dashboard and I'm looking at ADR and it shows me the kind of the curve in the market and then it shows where I'm at, that ADR number, is that when you're pulling the data, is that the part of the revenue that you're sharing with the owner or what the customer is seeing?
I think I understand your question. So when we're pulling ADR and you're looking at the market as a whole, we're taking everybody's data set that's feeding data through our system, and we're showing you the average ADR for the system. So
but is the ADR the price that the manager is splitting with the owner, or the ADR that the
It's-
customer is seeing with everything packed on top of
It's
it?
total rent. So you can see both in our system, but it's total rent.
So you can segment it in your system.
You can see it
drill
with all
down.
the fees or without the fees. Yes, sir.
Jason, so there's, I think, 23,000 vacation rental managers in the U.S., actually -5 because I just heard Table 17 bought Table 5. But I would argue that most of them are mom and pop operators, and their heads are, they might live on the beach, but they're buried in the sand. They have absolutely no idea potentially how to read that data. There's very few people that are in revenue management. How do you plan on educating, if we become a customer of yours, how do you educate us to use that data better to better this industry?
Yeah, I mean, you go back to your question about the largest challenge we have. I think education is right up there with critical mass. I think it's starting with events like this. It's starting with videos. It's starting with courses. It's just having a consistent drumbeat that tells people that this stuff's important. And the reverberations that'll come out of this conference hopefully will go a long way. I see a lot of people talking about this stuff and a lot of people making a difference. But the data is only as good as what we know what to do with it, and so it's definitely a challenge. But we've got a partner advocacy team, and when we engage a client, we put the full team on you. Navis taught us a long time ago, go all in when it comes to customer service. It worked for us at our last software company, and it's our motto now as well.
So with the API integrations that you guys have currently, just educate me a little bit on what you can actually see and what you are actually pulling out. So,
Yep.
for instance, you're not seeing guest or owner names. You're not seeing any of that information, correct?
Yeah, we're not taking any of your private information. We're taking the zip code that the guests come from so we can help you with feeder data and marketing. And then we're taking the basic reservation data. So when did they book? How long did they stay? What did they pay for base rent? What did they pay for other? And what did they pay for total? So, core reservation data, not core guest data other than zip code.
In my market, I work with both. I use a PMS system to manage hotel inventory as well as vacation rental inventory. Hotels are, as we already said, much further ahead in regards to revenue management. Does Key Data plan on having any APIs in the future, or does it now, in which you're able to pull some of that more detailed information?
Yeah, so obviously alternative accommodations in that space between hotels and vacation rentals is blending deeply, and it's hard to kind of tell where the middle ground is. Companies like Stay Outfit are helping to blend those two together. There are some, APIs that are specific to the resort market, like Springer Miller, who's an integration that we have. So we're starting to bring on large resorts, and there's some that are specific to the hotels, which we're just starting to do a few of. Our goal right now is not to go after hotels, but we've got a lot of destinations that we work with, and they say, look, we're 95% vacation rentals in this market, but there's two hotels/resorts we'd like to get that data to. So I think there's an opportunity for us to complete the puzzle for those destinations with that data.
On the dashboard itself, do you allow, like, when a customer, like when I first come in, to have a custom dashboard where only the things that I want to see come up first? Or do you have recommended dashboard only? What's the...
Yeah, we start with My Reports, and our team helps you customize that. So we want you to land on stuff that's unique to you, that helps you do your job best. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jason. I have one final question for you. Do you think your business is gonna be replaced by the PMSs?
Hopefully one day, but not for quite a long time.
Thank you very much, and please also join me in congratulating Jason on his work on his foundation. It's fantastic stuff. Excellent. Well, it seems our dragons are pretty hungry, so that's good. Questions are coming. So our next one up is Scott from LSI.
Hi there. So I'm here representing LSI, but also representing the VRMA to talk about VRMA insights. So if you go ahead and cue the video there.
Industry, VRMA recognizes that insight into the latest trends and benchmarks helps our members make important business decisions. Our new research initiative provides you with valuable, actionable information. Use it to track industry trends, monitor your key performance indicators, and craft your marketing plan. It also gives VRMA members an invaluable perspective into local, regional, and national data. New from the Vacation Rental Management Association. VRMA Insights tracks and compares your company's historical operational data. Only you see your business data. All other data is aggregated and anonymous. This data includes real-time reports with interactive dashboards, summaries, and charts for booking windows and trends, location-specific information, paid occupancy and inventory availability, total revenue, average daily rate and length of stay, Microsoft Excel reports, and more. Looking for more? Upgrade to the professional version for additional features like year-over-year reports, data filtering by location, bedrooms, house type, or amenities, daily executive summary emails, additional revenue reporting, off-market data, ability to create custom market filters, and much more. All VRMA property management companies are eligible and encouraged to participate. Best of all, VRMA Insights is free to all participating members. So, the more participation, the better the results. How does it work? Using API technology, VRMA Insights imports data from your property management system and aggregates that data into easy-to-use reports. It's simple, secure, and anonymous. Individual company and property names are never shared. Make better business decisions. Leverage data for more efficient operations. Track local, state, and vacation rental activity.
So the operative word there is free. VRMA Insights is free to all VRMA members, will be in perpetuity, and right now it's free to anyone who would like to participate. There's a trial period here for 6 months that we're giving that away. The value proposition there is VRMA would love to have you as a member of the organization, contributing to this community to benefit all of us here. There's been a lot of talk this morning about trust and working together. The VRMA really is the organization that leads that effort and leads that effort in education. So the cost is so minimal compared to what you'll get out of this. Membership for a company that's 100 properties or less is $450 a year. In one day, you'll get more than that out of this in actionable information.
What will it cost when it's no longer free?
It's free in perpetuity for VRMA members.
Scott, so I have a little knowledge about this product, obviously being involved in VRMA, but kind of walk us through what you think the benefits of being associated with, the VRMA as a nonprofit is versus, say, another product like this.
Sure. There's been a couple of the earlier presentations that mentioned a couple key words, authoritative and trust. VRMA is a nonprofit organization. The data that resides there will never be sold to third-party sources. There isn't a profit-driven strategy for this. It's really a benefit-driven strategy. It's to bring value to the greater vacation rental industry. Also, Mike, to add one other component to that is VRMA really leads in education in this industry, and the resource of the VRA educational programs through their conferences, through their certification programs will all support and reinforce this along with their webinars and magazine articles, etc.
And my favorite question, what is the greatest weakness as it is right now?
I'll echo Jason on that. Really reaching critical mass, getting out there and getting adoption is really the key component. It's we're a community sometimes, but we're also insular at others. There's a lot of gatekeepers at every doorway you try to enter, and just getting the message out there so people know that there's something of real value here that can make a big difference to their bottom line.
Who do you integrate with now? Are you like Key Data and have all the integrations already set up, or are they still being?
We have integrations with, I think we probably have about 85 to 90% coverage throughout the vacation rental industry now on all the major platforms.
Who do you not have that you want?
I'm trying to think. There's just a couple small. There's a couple small PMS systems out there that just don't have a robust enough API or even have an API, and so it's only the systems without APIs or those that wouldn't be willing to put a little bit of work into them.
Scott, do you feel that there's great products, Key Data is great, AirDNA is coming here. Do you feel like these products can coexist in the marketplace?
Yeah, I actually think so. The question of critical mass is a great one, but critical mass is a very broad term. The critical mass in a specific market is extremely important because you just need enough of your competitors in the market so that you're getting enough data to be valuable to someone. I would answer the question about what is critical mass in an individual market a little differently, and that is I look at those markets as kind of a series of concentric circles. If there are not enough participants in a small diameter of circle, you just need to extend that ring a little bit to bring those in. We'll find people that have a similar business model to you and similar properties.
Going back to the word free, I love it.
Free.
It's so kind of following up with CJ to put a little better understanding from my standpoint. So are there PMSs that you wish to hook up with in the future that would benefit this industry?
Yeah, I'm picking my answer carefully. There are international PMS systems that we're beginning to work with, in particular, that have completely different terms of use for their data that would give us access to a lot more data on an international basis.
So where are we at right now with member companies who have signed up? Do we have and do we have a goal?
Yeah, so the original goal was the first year out was to get 1/3 of the membership enrolled. We've already exceeded that, and then we have a similar number of non-VRMA participating companies, and then we just are preparing to launch in Europe and have a large company signed up there as well. A large PMS.
Are the dashboards customizable, similar to what Key Data has offered?
Absolutely. It's a matter of aesthetics. Obviously we like ours better. Key Data does an excellent job. They've looked and done a great job in their research and looking at the metrics that are important to the industry. We present them a little different and organize them a little differently.
So I'm going to kind of get you with this question because I'm going to put you in my shoes. So
Sure.
I'm using your tool and I'm using Key Data, but I'm getting two different sets of information. Which one should I trust?
Mine.
Because it's free?
What's that?
Because it's free?
No, not because it's free. There really shouldn't be some difference, and that may be a point where.
Have you guys done that? Like logged into theirs and yours and compared it side by side?
No, we really haven't. We've had some client feedback on that, but where we've tested the integrity of our data, and we're confident that it's accurate.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you, Scott. That was a great sales pitch for VRMA, and I'm sure Mike is very happy about this too. And the sign-up rates will go through the roof for sure. So now I'm very happy to announce the next speaker, not just because the person is from AirDNA, but it's actually a female. And we're doing something for gender diversity even at this conference. I think apart from Amy, I haven't seen anybody on stage that's female. So please join me in welcoming Sarah from AirDNA.
Okay, you can, oh, perfect, awesome. So I'm going to talk you guys through our flagship product, which is MarketMinder. So what we're doing is we're taking every single Airbnb and HomeAway listing worldwide, and we've put it into an easy-to-use dashboard so that it's accessible for everybody. So we've given every market, we're examining over 80,000 markets globally with this tool, and we've given every single market a market grade, so you can see the health of that market. So here we're looking at Atlanta, you can see it's a B+ market. As well, we're giving you insights into the location of these listings. You can see the concentration of properties and how that stacks up. And then you can also look at individual units on the dashboard. This is something that we've been working on for quite some time. So it's future rates. So I know pricing is on everyone's mind. And so we've been aggregating this information in a way that you can see how the market is spread out in different percentile levels. So here's something to point out, for example, is that you've got the median booked rate is 150 a night, whereas most people are still listing at 175 a night. So that indicates that people probably should lower their rates for that day. The market's not quite there yet. We've also gone in and shown you the demand score. So we've taken the historical performance of every single day. We're also looking at indicators of events that are coming onto the scene and giving you a score of 1 to 10 of the demand in that market. This is our Rentalizer. This is something very exciting because one of the main things that I think smaller property managers especially struggle with is how much can this property actually be expected to make. So with Rentalizer, it's an automated valuation model for short-term rentals. So you can type in any address anywhere in the world, as well as the number of bedrooms and bathrooms. And then we will give you a projection of what we would think that property to earn. So we're using up to 50 comparable listings in the area to get this information. And then we'll show you what the annual revenue, ADR, and occupancy would be for that listing. So here you can see this is a property in Atlanta. And then we've further broken that down on a monthly basis. So these revenue figures here, we're taking the daily rate at which the property was booked and also adding in the cleaning fees across the length of the reservation, as that tends to be another way to make additional money. The average daily rate is the same. It also includes the cleaning fees, and then you have the occupancy. For the occupancy, we're doing sort of a true occupancy rate. So we're not taking into account blocked days in the calendar, but only reserved days over the available days. And then you also have comparable units there that we've used to come up with that. So this is something we just launched a few weeks ago. You'll notice in here you can go in and add your properties. So we've selected a particular unit. And then you can get actual recommended rates for that property for each day. So here we're linking directly to the calendar for this property. In this case, it's on Airbnb. And then we're showing you two versions that you can toggle on and off. So one is market rates, which is what's happening actually in the market. So here, this is a prime example. You'll see that most people are asking about $100 a night too much compared with what rates are actually being booked for that night. And this goes out 6 months into the future as well. So you can see every single day, again, you've got the demand score, and we're giving you where your rate is compared with, for example, in this case, the 50th percentile of the market. Okay? And for every day, you can see, obviously, it's telling you how you should adjust your rates up or down based on where you're at. We're showing you block days, as well as what your rate is and what the market's doing. So you can get a better idea of, for example, if you have the power to make this property available and the owner's giving you that freedom, then you might can convince them, hey, we could really make some extra money on this day, because you're able to see those rates as well. So this is the new version of this is in beta right now that we've just launched about 3 weeks ago, where we're actually setting a base rate for your unit. So we're determining where you are in the market, so you don't have to determine what percentile you're in, and then we're giving you our recommended rate for that day. And then you can easily see in the calendar how to adjust that up or down. And again, goes out 6 months into the future. So this is, I think, several questions about the biggest challenges. I think this is the biggest challenge, is getting pricing accurate and making it accessible, because it is something that a lot of people struggle with, and particularly setting that base rate, determining where you are in the market and what your true competitive properties are. And so this is sort of our roadmap for the next 6 months and what we're really, really focused on.
Fire away.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, so the base rate that you were just talking about coming up with, we've heard the other two say that they're pulling their data from multiple PMSs. Is this pulling from just Airbnb or Airbnb, and like where's all the data coming from?
Yeah.
And then the second half of the question is going to be coming up with that base rate. Now, are we giving you pictures of the house and a description of the house, and that's someone is coming up with that rate, or is it just an algorithm on data only?
Yeah. Yeah, so the first bit of the question of where the data comes from. So we're scraping essentially Airbnb and HomeAway. So we have data on every single listing. We have an algorithm that helps us determine whether a reservation has taken place or whether that day is simply blocked out in the calendar. And then we also have data partnerships whereby we receive real reservation information from PMSs and channel managers that we can use to augment the veracity of that algorithm, so if we notice a discrepancy. In terms of the second part of the question, would you remind me what that was? Sorry.
The base rate again. How do you, when you were showing that you were going to suggest the rate, is a human interacting with the algorithm there?
It's an algorithm. So we're looking at over 5 million data points to help us determine that. So things like what the historical demand score has been, what the current demand score is, what the occupancy is on this date thus far compared with last year at the same time, what your property has done historically. We also have an algorithm that helps us determine what the most comparable units are to yours. We do look at photos for that. We look at calendar information. And so that's helping us determine where you are in the market. So we essentially assign you a percentile within that market and then use that to determine the base rate.
Very impressive. So is it safe to say, as is right now, though, if a property is not on Airbnb or HomeAway, it's not included in the comparative data? Is that?
Yeah, that's sort of the big gap right now. We've been working on Booking.com for over a year now, and fingers crossed that's meant to be integrated by the end of the year, so that's sort of our next leap. But even with that, particularly in the state of the US, we're looking at 80 to 85% coverage of all the listings.
I will say, in a lot of the more traditional markets, let's take the Outer Banks, for instance, I mean, there's a big contingent of properties that just aren't listed on channels. And so it'd be tough, or it needs to be a way to, include that information and make it really valuable, for those kind of managers. So.
If using your platform, am I able to separate out whether it's a RBO versus a professional manager?
So yes and no. So sort of the main way we would do that is by looking in the raw data files at the host ID. So we can determine if a host has multiple listings, for example. And then, so some of our larger clients, that's something that they would work with a lot. Rather than having just as this dashboard, they would have raw data extracts where they have sort of an Excel file with every detail of every unit, including, of course, the host ID, where they can see if a host has, let's say, 500 units, then they're obviously a professional.
All right, a question from the audience.
Yeah, sure.
You gotta love technology, right?
Is it on Twitter?
You're using it to help us come up with our rate. So, how do you get an accurate annual projection for a home?
Yeah. So from the Rentalizer, basically, we're looking at up to 50 comparable properties. So there's an algorithm that determines what those listings are. And then we're looking at the 75th percentile of revenue potential, which means that if that unit were available all 365 days out of the year and there was no block days, what we would expect that to earn.
So there's like a clawback for owner use. Like you can dial it. If an owner says we're going to be using it this many nights, you can just dial it back.
It's more if you're the property manager, for example, to adjust the owner's expectations and say, hey, this is the projection if you give me full leeway of the property and nothing's blocked out.
Did I understand correctly, as of right now, you do not represent the difference between a owner block versus a booking?
Yes, so we do. So that's what our main reservation algorithm helps us determine. is when in a calendar, if you're scraping in the code, you see either A for available or U for unavailable. And so that's what sort of our main algorithm does, is helps us determine when that unavailable day in a listings calendar is actually a reservation or if it's been blocked out for owner use or cleaning or some other reason.
So we didn't really get to drill down with the other two that were up here, how much of Airbnb, HomeAway, or Booking.com's data they use. They were really focused on the PMS, right? So which PMSs are you connected to now, or would you like to have that you don't have?
Yeah, if my colleague Flo were here, he would probably kill me because he should have sent me a list. I have a full list outside if anybody's interested in who we're currently working with, both PMSs and channel managers. I think particularly in the US, it's something that we're looking to increase. We've got an office based in Barcelona as well, and so we've had quite a bit of success in Europe, as it's a bit of a smaller community there. But in the US, anybody who's not working with us already, please come work with us. We would love to. We offer sort of data swaps, so we offer free data and connection to our API, so you can display some of the information that was in the video to your clients, either within the PMS or within the channel manager.
And we heard that one is completely free here.
Yeah, ours is not free.
Okay, so so now I've got a free solution and your solution. Why am I choosing your solution over the free one?
Yeah, so I mean, basically you get what you pay for, and also, I mean, we have every single listing, so we're not relying only on user-imported data. We have everything. We have a full-time team. We've been working on this for over 5 years, and we're extremely confident in the accuracy of our data and its ability to help property managers.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Sarah. How could you have ended on a better note than that? Thank you, Sarah. That was a fantastic presentation. Bluntly honest. Now, before we wrap this up and have a quick coffee break, there's one last question to the panel. You've seen 3 presentations, and in which company would you put your money?
Free, I don't have to. No, I do like the free aspect though, from a comparative, point of view. I like to get as many different points of view as I can. So I would absolutely try all 3 of them, both of the paid options and the free one, but I would definitely be comparing the same home to see what I'm getting out of it. And then I'm gonna go with my gut, and I'm gonna go with what my team collectively comes together and says, we like this one the best. We like the way it works the best. I mean, that's.
Yeah, I mean, I would echo. I still think they can coexist. I saw different things in all 3 products that I like. I mean, great if we could just cram them all together. But I mean, the rate sophistication with AirDNA versus the direct data from VRMA and key data. I mean, that kind of stuff, you can kind of see benefits in all of them, using all of them.
One of the things I'm constantly reminded by is that Marriott had 30 brands forever up until recently, and now 31. But to simplify that, they have the Ritz-Carlton and they have the Fairfield. If Fairfield's $100 a night and Ritz-Carlton's $100 a night, which one would you take? Of course. And my biggest fear is with any of these tools is how much we're just pushing it all together. And so the question that I ultimately always will have is how much of it is homeowner versus professional? And then what are the APIs? Who are the PMs that are providing all of this information so that we can actually filter better for ourselves?
Excellent. Amazing. 3 perfect experts. Please join me in thanking them for their wonderful job. Thanks, Mike, CJ, and Travis.